Hey everyone, welcome back. We're taking a deep dive into the world of organizational behavior today.
Oh, exciting.
We've got this fascinating source, Organizational Behavior First, BBA, and it really maps out how this whole field has evolved over time.
It's a great read.
So
Yeah.
get ready for some aha moments as we unpack what makes people tick at work.
I think one of the things that struck me most about this document is how OB, it's not really a new concept, at all. It's been around for centuries.
Really?
With roots extending all the way back to, ancient philosophers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would not have thought that philosophers were thinking about workplace dynamics way back then.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Plato and Aristotle debating office politics or something.
Well, maybe not office politics in the way we think of it now, but
Okay.
their ideas definitely laid some groundwork for OB. Take Plato's focus on leadership qualities.
Okay.
It's still relevant. Helps us understand what makes a strong leader.
Interesting.
Even today. And Aristotle, with his mastery of persuasion,
Right.
he reminds us how vital communication skills are in any workplace.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So even back then, they were thinking about how to lead and communicate effectively.
Absolutely.
Wow. It's amazing to think these core challenges have been around forever.
They really have. But how did these early ideas change as the world of work transformed,
Yeah, that's a great question.
Think about the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
That was a huge turning point.
Right.
It completely revolutionized how work was organized.
Yeah.
And that's where thinkers like Adam Smith enter the picture.
Adam Smith. Okay.
Yeah.
Invisible hand.
Uh-huh. Exactly. His ideas about division of labor and specialization, they really revolutionized the way we structure organizations, It's like he laid the blueprint for the modern workplace as we know it.
It's true. Before Smith, most workers were generalists, right?
Yeah, they did a little bit of everything. But his ideas led to these specialized roles, departments, a model that we still see in most organizations today.
Absolutely. But all this focus on efficiency and structure, I'm kind of curious about the human side of things.
Yeah.
Were there any voices back then advocating for workers during this time of, rapid industrialization?
Absolutely. One remarkable figure who comes to mind is Robert Owen.
Robert Owen. Okay. Tell me about him.
He was a true pioneer when it came to advocating for worker well-being.
Interesting.
While many factory owners back then were completely laser-focused on profits,
Right.
Owen really believed that treating workers well was not only ethical, but also smart business.
Okay.
Think about it. He was pushing for things like regulated working hours, child labor laws,
Wow.
even education and meals for workers, way back then.
That's incredible.
He also believed businesses should be actively involved in their communities.
Wow. Talk about ahead of his time.
Yeah.
These are ideas that we just take for granted today. But back then, they were revolutionary.
Totally radical.
He was practically laying the foundation for things like corporate social responsibility that we talk about now.
Right. It's amazing how his focus on worker well-being kind of paved the way for the more human-centered approaches to management that we see today.
It seems like different disciplines are starting to influence OB, right?
Absolutely.
Who are some of the key figures that kind of carry these ideas forward into the 20th century?
Well, there's Max Weber.
Okay.
The German sociologist. He developed theories about authority,
Okay.
and bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy, yeah.
Which are, essential for understanding how modern organizations function.
Right.
Alongside him, we've got F.W. Taylor, champion of scientific management.
Okay.
His focus was all about optimizing workflows, setting goals, and then using rewards to motivate employees.
So we've got these ideas about organizational structure, efficiency, and even a touch of motivation in there. But when did the human element really take center stage? When did we really start to focus on that in OB?
Well, that's where the mid-20th century comes in.
Yeah.
It was this period of incredible growth in behavioral science.
Right.
It gave rise to figures like Abraham Maslow and his famous hierarchy of needs. Yeah. You've got Douglas McGregor with his theory X and theory Y.
Okay.
And David McClelland exploring achievement motivation.
Yeah.
You've also got Fred Fiedler, Hertzberg, even Sigmund Freud.
Wow. That's a lot of big names.
Yeah.
And it's clear that OB is drawing from all these diverse fields like psychology, sociology.
Absolutely.
Blending them all together to kind of understand what motivates people at work.
It's a real melting pot of ideas.
But maybe before we get too deep into their specific theories,
okay,
maybe we should actually define what we mean by organizational behavior, right?
Good point. The source actually offers 3 different definitions of OB.
Oh, really?
Each with a slightly different nuance. We have definitions from Stephen P. Robbins, Fred Luthans, and Raman J. Aldag.
Okay, 3 definitions. That's a lot to unpack.
It is a bit, yeah.
Can you, break them down simply?
Sure.
So even someone who's completely new to OB can kind of grasp the core idea.
Well, all 3 definitions basically boil down to this: understanding, predicting, and ultimately influencing human behavior in organizations to make those organizations more effective.
Okay, so that's the what.
Right.
Now, what's the so what?
The so what?
Why should the average person working in an organization even care about this stuff?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, what's in it for them?
Well, the so what of OB is really about giving you, the individual, the tools to navigate the complexities of work and have a better overall experience.
So how does that work? Could you give us some concrete examples of how understanding OB can help someone in their day-to-day work life?
Sure. Imagine you're leading a team and you're facing a tight deadline. Understanding what motivates each team member helps you tailor your approach, right?
Right.
To get everyone on board.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're dealing with a conflict between colleagues. OB offers these frameworks for understanding the root causes of the conflict and finding solutions that work for everyone involved.
So it's OB is kind of like a personal toolkit for dealing with the messy human side of work.
Exactly.
It helps you understand people, predict their actions, and even influence behavior, to create a more harmonious and productive workplace.
Exactly. And it all starts with recognizing that people are complex.
Right.
And their behavior is influenced by a multitude of factors, both inside and outside of the workplace.
Okay, so we've defined OB, we've talked about its relevance, but the source mentions these foundational concepts that kind of underpin the field.
Yes.
Can you walk us through those?
Sure. There are 7 key concepts outlined.
Okay.
Individual differences. The whole person, cause behavior, human dignity, organizations as social systems, mutuality of interest, and the holistic concept.
7 concepts. Wow. OB is starting to feel like a universe in itself.
Haha, it is quite a lot.
Can you unpack a few of those for us?
Let's start with individual differences. This concept acknowledges that every person brings unique strengths, weaknesses, and motivations to the table.
Okay.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to managing people.
Right.
Understanding what makes each person tick is crucial.
So instead of treating everyone the same, you need to figure out what motivates each individual.
Exactly.
That sounds pretty intuitive, but I could see how overlooking individual differences could lead to problems,
Absolutely. And that's where the whole person concept comes in. Okay. It acknowledges that people's work lives and personal lives are really intertwined, Their personal experiences, values, even their family situations can impact their behavior at work.
So you're saying their personal life, it all comes with them to work.
It does.
Wow.
And this ties into the concept of caused behavior.
Okay.
There's always a reason behind someone's actions at work, right?
Right.
Instead of just jumping to conclusions or placing blame, you should really try to understand what's driving that behavior. Maybe they're constantly late because of childcare issues, or their performance has dipped because they're feeling overwhelmed.
That's true.
There's always a reason.
It sounds like OB is really encouraging empathy and understanding.
It is.
Which is so crucial for building healthy work relationships.
And
right.
Absolutely.
So it's less about judging and more about trying to understand the why behind someone's action.
Exactly. And this links directly to the concept of human dignity.
Yeah.
OB emphasizes treating people with respect.
Yeah.
Recognizing their inherent worth.
Okay.
Understanding that their value goes beyond just their economic output.
It's amazing how far we've come from those days when workers were just seen as cogs in a machine, right?
Oh,
It seems like OB is advocating for a more humane and respectful workplace.
It really is. Now, how do these individual-focused concepts apply to the organization as a whole, you ask?
Yeah, exactly.
That's where the concept of organizations as social systems comes into play.
Okay.
It highlights the dynamic interplay between individuals, groups, and the overall organization. Recognizing that organizations aren't just collections of individuals, but they're complex systems with their own cultures, power dynamics, and communication patterns.
So it's like zooming out from the individual level to see how everyone kind of interacts within this larger system?
Precisely.
Of the organization.
Exactly. And within this system, there's the concept of mutuality of interest.
Okay.
Which suggests that both individuals and organizations have needs and goals. And ideally, those needs and goals should align.
So it's not just about the organization getting everything they want out of the employee.
No.
It's realizing that both sides need each other.
Right.
And there can be a win-win.
Exactly. A win-win situation is possible. And finally, there's the holistic concept, which ties everything together.
Okay.
It reminds us to consider the big picture and how all these factors we've discussed, individual differences, the social system, and mutuality of interest interact and influence each other to shape behavior in the workplace.
Wow, what a framework. I'm already seeing how OB could be so valuable for understanding work life.
It's powerful stuff.
This deep dive has given us a lot to think about.
Definitely.
But before we go any further, let's just take a quick pause and reflect on what we've learned.
Okay.
We'll be back in a moment to explore how OB is actually used in practice.
Sounds good.
All right, so we've got these foundational concepts of OB down.
Yeah.
But how do we actually put them into practice?
Yeah.
How are these principles being used by managers and organizations to really tackle real-world challenges?
Right. That's where the rubber meets the road, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
One of the biggest areas where OB is being applied today is in navigating the complexities of globalization.
Oh, globalization. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. As businesses become more and more interconnected across borders, understanding how cultural differences can affect teamwork, communication, leadership styles. It's more critical now than ever.
It's true.
Yeah.
A management style that works in one culture could completely backfire in another.
Good.
So, how does OB help us bridge those cultural gaps?
Well, OB kind of gives us these tools to, decode those differences.
Okay.
Provides insights into various cultural norms, values, communication styles. For example, some cultures are very hierarchical, while others are much more egalitarian.
Right.
Recognizing these differences is key to effectively leading and motivating global teams.
So it's like OB is kind of like a cultural translator in a way.
It is, yeah.
It's helping people from different backgrounds work together more smoothly.
Exactly.
What other challenges does OB help address in today's workplace?
Well, another big one is managing workforce diversity.
Diversity, right.
Organizations are becoming increasingly diverse, not just in terms of nationality, but also gender.
Right.
Race.
Of course.
Age, sexual orientation.
Yeah.
You name it.
It's great that workplaces are becoming more inclusive.
Yeah.
But managing such a diverse workforce must be incredibly complex, right?
What is a challenge?
How does OB help navigate all that?
Well, OB kind of provides these frameworks for building truly inclusive workplaces where everyone feels valued and respected.
Okay.
It goes beyond just avoiding discrimination. It's about actively leveraging the strengths that come from a diverse workforce to foster innovation and to achieve better outcomes.
So diversity isn't just like a box to check off.
No, not at all.
It's a genuine source of strength for the organization.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, our source material also mentions these two key concepts related to improving quality and productivity. Total quality management and re-engineering. Can you unpack those for us a bit?
Sure. Total quality management, or TQM.
Okay.
It's all about continuous improvement.
Okay.
It emphasizes customer focus, empowering employees, and consistently seeking ways to do things better.
So it's kind of like an ongoing process.
Exactly.
Of refinement and optimization.
You got it.
So TQM is about making those small incremental improvements over time.
Yeah.
What about re-engineering? How does that fit into the picture?
Re-engineering is a bit more radical.
Okay.
It involves fundamentally rethinking work processes
and
organizational structure.
Okay.
Imagine taking a step back and asking, if we were starting from scratch today, how would we design this process or structure?
So TQM is about fine-tuning the existing system, whereas re-engineering is about potentially overhauling the whole thing.
You got it. And in both cases, OB is essential for managing that,
The people.
The human side of change.
Yeah.
It helps leaders understand how to motivate people to embrace these new ways of working and navigate those inevitable challenges that come up during any kind of major organizational transformation.
So OB is like a guide to help people through those transitions.
Exactly.
So OB is crucial for helping people adapt and thrive in a constantly evolving work environment.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what other areas does OB apply to?
Well, another really important one is developing those essential people skills.
People skills.
In today's world, technical skills just aren't enough anymore.
Right.
Success really often hinges on strong interpersonal skills.
Like what?
Like communication,
okay,
teamwork, conflict resolution, leadership.
Those soft skills, as they call them, they're becoming more and more important. That's true.
They are. And OB provides those frameworks for understanding different communication styles, for building high-performing teams, for managing conflict constructively, and even for developing leadership qualities.
So OB is like giving people the tools to not just survive, but to thrive in the modern workplace.
Exactly.
But speaking of thriving, our increasingly demanding work culture kind of blurs the lines between work and personal life.
It does.
Does OB address this challenge of achieving a healthy work-life balance?
Absolutely. With the lines blurring like that, it's more important than ever to help employees manage their time and their energy effectively.
Right.
OB emphasizes creating this supportive environment that allows people to balance their work responsibilities with their personal lives.
So it's recognizing that employees are whole people.
Yes.
With lives outside of work.
They are not robots.
Right. So what are some specific ways that OB promotes a healthier work-life balance?
Well, OB encourages policies and practices that prioritize well-being. Okay. Things like flexible work arrangements, generous paid time off, resources for managing stress. It's about creating a culture where people feel supported and empowered to make choices that benefit both their professional and personal lives.
It sounds like OB is really pushing for a more human-centered, holistic approach to work.
Absolutely.
But are there areas where OB falls short?
Well,
our source mentions some potential shortcomings.
Yeah.
Can we talk about those a bit?
Of course. While OB offers these valuable insights and tools, it's not a magic bullet for every workplace issue.
True.
It's important to be aware of its limitations.
So what are some things that OB can't fix?
Well, for one, OB doesn't automatically guarantee success in someone's personal life.
Right.
Being a great manager at work doesn't necessarily translate to having a harmonious family life.
That's true.
Personal relationships require a different set of skills and dynamics.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly.
OB can help create that supportive environment at work, but ultimately individuals also need to develop their own strategies for managing their personal lives.
Right.
What other limitations does OB have?
Another limitation is that OB can't completely eliminate interpersonal conflict. Oh, that's true.
Conflict is just a natural part of human interaction,
Yeah.
It's bound to arise in any workplace.
Right.
But OB can give us the tools to manage conflict more effectively.
Okay.
So we can minimize its negative impacts.
Right.
And even turn disagreements into opportunities for growth.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether.
No.
It's about approaching it constructively.
Exactly.
Okay, what other shortcomings are there?
Well, there's the potential for manipulation.
Ooh, okay.
Like any tool, OB principles can be misused, right?
Right.
For instance, someone with a deep understanding of motivation could use that knowledge to manipulate others for personal gain.
That's true.
So ethical considerations should always be front and center when applying OB principles.
It's like a reminder that knowledge can be used for both good and bad.
It can.
And so ethical awareness is really crucial to make sure that it's being used to create positive change and not to exploit others.
Exactly. Are there any other limitations?
Yeah, are there any others? Yeah, it's important to remember that OB doesn't offer quick fixes.
Right. It's not a magic wand.
No. It requires ongoing effort.
Okay.
A long-term perspective and a willingness to continuously learn and adapt.
So it's an ongoing process.
It is. Building a healthy and productive work environment, it's a journey, not a destination.
It's not like you just implement a couple of OB techniques and everything is magically fixed. It's about cultivating this culture of continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And realizing that, the human side of work requires ongoing attention, adaptation.
Exactly. And finally, it's important to acknowledge that OB has limitations when it comes to addressing these broader societal issues.
Okay, like what?
While it can help improve organizations, it can't single-handedly solve problems like unemployment, poverty, or inequality.
That's a good point. OB focuses on the dynamics within organizations.
Yeah.
But, those organizations exist within this larger societal context.
Absolutely.
So OB is a really powerful tool for making positive change in the workplace.
Yeah.
But it can't solve every problem.
It can't solve everything. That's right.
It's about being realistic about what it can and can't achieve.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
This has been such a insightful discussion.
It has been.
I'm really starting to get a sense of how OB is both a powerful tool and like a field with its own nuances and complexities.
Absolutely.
We've covered so much.
We have.
But I feel like there's still so much more to explore, right?
There is. Absolutely.
Like we've just scratched the surface here.
We've just begun.
Okay.
There's a whole world of these fascinating theories, concepts, and applications within OB just waiting to be uncovered.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap things up,
okay,
let's shift gears a bit and take a closer look at these various disciplines that kind of contribute to this, rich and evolving field of organizational behavior.
Sounds good.
So OB isn't about these quick fixes or manipulating people, right?
Not at all.
It's about understanding what makes us tick at work and then using that knowledge ethically to make organizations better.
But for everyone, exactly.
For everyone involved.
Yeah.
Now, what I find really interesting is that OB draws from all these different fields to get that understanding.
It does.
It's like this mashup of knowledge.
Yeah, it is.
Our source specifically highlights several disciplines that contribute to OB. Can you elaborate on how those different fields actually inform OB?
Sure. Let's start with psychology.
Okay, psychology.
It helps us understand, individual motivations, how people perceive the world around them, and the learning processes that shape behavior.
So it's like psychology provides that foundation for understanding individual differences, a concept we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
What about sociology? What does that bring to the table?
Well, sociology gives us the tools to analyze things like group dynamics, power structures within organizations, and those often unspoken rules of organizational culture.
Right.
It helps us see how individuals interact within that larger social system of the workplace.
So it's like sociology helps us zoom out from the individual and see the bigger picture of how people behave in groups.
Exactly.
And within those hierarchical structures that exist in organizations.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So what about anthropology? Where does that fit in?
Anthropology helps us understand the impact of cultural values and beliefs on behavior.
Okay.
Which in today's globalized workplace, is so important.
Yes,
for effective communication and collaboration.
So it's helping bridge those cultural gaps.
Exactly.
So we can all work together better.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the source also mentions fields like economics, engineering, even medicine.
It does.
What roles do those play in OB?
Well, economics helps us understand decision-making processes within organizations, how resources are allocated. This can be applied to everything from like individual career choices to company-wide strategic planning.
Interesting.
And then engineering contributes to the design of efficient work systems, processes, optimizing workflows, and maximizing productivity.
So it's bringing in that element of efficiency, that optimization to OB.
Exactly, which makes sense given its historical connection to figures like Frederick Taylor.
Right, with scientific management.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So what about medicine? That one seems kind of out of place.
Well, medicine, particularly the study of stress and its effects.
Okay.
It plays a really important role in understanding employee well-being, which ties back into OB's emphasis on creating a healthy and supportive environment.
Where people can thrive.
Exactly.
It's fascinating how all these different fields that seem so separate come together.
They do.
To paint this like holistic picture of the workplace.
They really
It's like OB is this convergence of knowledge focused on making work better.
For everyone,
For everyone involved.
Yeah.
So as work continues to evolve, do you think OB will need to incorporate insights from other fields that we haven't even thought of yet?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
OB is constantly evolving.
Right.
As technology advances, work becomes more global.
More interconnected.
Yeah. And our understanding of human behavior deepens. OB will have to adapt, integrate those new perspectives.
This deep dive has been incredible.
It has been fun.
I'm really starting to see how OB isn't just these dry theories.
Yeah.
It's about understanding people and using that knowledge to create these more humane, effective organizations.
Absolutely.
For anyone listening who's intrigued by what we talked about today, I encourage you to dive deeper into those specific theories.
Yes.
Thinkers we've mentioned.
Absolutely.
There's so much to learn out there.
There is a whole world of knowledge.
The whole world, yeah.
Just waiting to be explored.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into organizational behavior.
It was fun.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yes, thank you.
And until next time.
See you then.